Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 24 of Eskimo Brothers Reviews. My name is Soyboy Betacut 69.
I'm Shadow Man.
This here's my associate, Shadow Man. So for today, we reviewed the film 1917. A little synopsis about it. It is a World War I film, which you don't see a whole lot of these days, so it was a nice little change of pace for me personally. It takes place, two men who are British soldiers. So that's that. So we have these two guys. They're sent on this mission to go find another, another group, another unit, in order to kind of save their lives. The problem is they have orders to go on this offensive, and the truth is that if they go on that offensive, those men will die. So you have these two men that their sole job is to go find this other company and get them to stop that offensive so they can save their lives. Now the problem with the story is that these two guys have to cross from their trench into the German territory, and this takes place in France, the French invasion in the 1900s. So their goal is to cross into no man's land and then into the German territory in order to find these guys. The problem is that there's only two of them, and they have to travel all this distance secretly and in about a 24-hour period, because that offensive is going to start pretty soon. So they have to hurry up and get over there and get the job done. So that's pretty much what the whole film's about. It's a little under 2 hours long, and you just follow these men try to go from their company to the other British company. Shadow Man, what did you think about this? Because I saw this once before, and I'm like, oh, this is a really different film. I like personally I like war films, so I'm like, this is really different. So I need someone else to see this. So I asked Shadow Man here to witness it. So yeah, what did you think about it?
It was a movie I thought kept getting better as it went on. Like at the beginning, there was a lot of like English slang being thrown around, and so between the slang and the accents, I'm sitting there going, what are they saying? Oh God, I'm not going to understand anything that's going on. But
yeah, do we need subtitles for the English film?
But after the first little bit, there's less dialogue. It's a lot of characters reacting to stuff rather than dialogue heavy. It's well cast because you need people with a certain look that'll be able to pull that off and not.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You need someone who will not try to make it all about themselves and more look around.
Yeah, I really like that part of it because it's actual acting. There's not a whole lot of talking. In the beginning scene, it's a group of English soldiers, and they're all just kind of talking about blah blah blah, just stuff that I assume soldiers would talk about, or like any group of people, just normal everyday stuff. But you kind of see the camaraderie with them and just the way that they view things, and I'd say the opening scene is like a beautiful scene. It's our two main characters are like traveling through this trench in order to get their orders to actually go and do this project, and so you can see the way they interact with each other, and you can see throughout the whole film. I'll say that the way this is filmed is very different from the way you'd see a lot of film. Pretty much it revolves around the two main characters. Like literally, like the camera will revolve around the two main characters. You have it doesn't really cut to other people that are in the film, other extras or other side characters. it pretty much just stays focused on these two guys that are trying to go on this mission. So, like, sometimes you'll have the camera like right behind them, like following. Sometimes it's leading, but it doesn't matter. It's like you're always with them. So that kind of makes it more realistic, because with that, like, you're always like looking at these two guys. You're very familiar with these two men. But also, what happens, and he mentioned that first scene in the trenches. It's a very beautiful scene, because you'll see it's so smooth, the way, like, you just follow these two guys talking about, the stuff that they like to talk about in the military, and they're kind of going through this, and you see everything that's like going on in the background, but they don't point to it. They don't make it a point of focus. They don't reference it. The camera doesn't usually pan in on it or anything. It's just, you're walking with these guys, and you'll see just people come by that are injured, that are coming off the front line of the trenches. You'll see just random weird things that you would probably see in an actual war.
Yeah, in any other movie shooting that, there would be a quick shot of just two guys carrying a stretcher, then a shot of a dude lighting a cigarette, and then a shot of a dude eating.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just all happening as you pass by.
It's all extremely fluid, and throughout the whole film, besides one part, it's almost like a live stream, you could call it. It's supposed to take place, 24 hours. So it's almost like non-stop, like looking and watching and following these two characters as they go on their journey. So that makes it a very, very different, interesting film in the way the cinematography was in general. It was just so different, and just, I don't really know how to describe it.
They did a really good job of hiding the cuts.
Yes, it was very smooth, like I said, very fluid. It is just like you're with these people, and that can kind of maybe make you feel like emotionally attached to them, or as if you were really there with them, because it's just, you're focusing on them, and that's it. Like, when he talked about, like, you will see like pretty good background acting, like you will see people smoking and just talking or arguing, or you will see people like maybe carrying someone on a stretcher, but the camera's not going to follow it. You'll just kind of see it, and you're like, oh. But that's the thing, like, to them, that's everyday life. Like, they, it might make sense to us who aren't involved in that, but these people that see death and destruction every single day, they just kind of brush it off. You got guys napping, just chilling, just relaxing and waiting for the moment that they have to charge, or waiting for whatever next order it is. So, yeah, as a whole, the way it was filmed is so different and just so delightful. It was a nice thing to see.
I liked that the opening shot wasn't just a big battle scene like a lot of war movies will be. A lot of war movies will try to just get that, war is hell cliche right at the beginning. Yeah.
Which, you don't need that. You see plenty of that throughout the film.
Yeah.
And it's really, it can be pretty intense, and the way they also did it was pretty beautiful, because you'll see like explosions, you'll see fire, you'll see bombs, and you'll see like the way these people react to it. And again, like the way it is filmed, it makes it much more realistic and just, terrifying, scary, truthfully. So besides the camera angles and things like that, they did, they made some pretty good usage of like drone footage, when they were filming, and that made it very smooth and beautiful as well. You'll have many times the two main characters will be going around a turn, maybe in a cave or a bunker or something like that, and instead of the camera following, it'll go an alternate route, but they meet up. So it's like you still hear them, and then you'll see them come back into frame, and it's almost as if you were there walking with them, and you just chose to go left, and they went right, and you meet up in the middle. It's the way it is filmed. It's very nice, and you can see like everything they do, and it's pretty convenient. But besides that whole thing, just the overall visual effects, there's intricate scenery, and just the beauty of it. You'll see a lot of stark contrasts where you have like light and dark. There's a scene in a barn where they're in this barn, so you have the dark like wood and like shaded, but outside it's super bright, so you have the bright and the dark. There's multiple times where there's like fire on the horizon, and you'll see like their silhouettes or their shadows. So you have the bright, the light, and the dark, and that just kind of points your eyes directly to where they want you to look, and it's really nice the way they do that throughout the whole film.
And they do the same thing with like the music too. Like there's a scene with a bunch of men in the back of the truck being transported. And
oh yeah, that's a good one.
There's some really sad piano music playing while they're just having a normal conversation. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, you'll see the emotion on one of the two main guys. He just, the things he's been through, like you can tell, he'll go through something, and like some of the other guys will be laughing, joking, and he's just like in his own world, just like thinking, just imagine like the things that this guy's seen, friends blown up, just crazy things that he's had to do throughout the years, and you can just imagine how you would feel in that situation. Like you've seen some rough stuff, and you actually have time to stop and think about it and focus on it, whereas you're not like constantly running and going and going and going. There are times where it kind of slows down a bit, gives him time to think and remember, and it can be kind of emotional. I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy.
I liked some of the attention to detail. Like, did you notice the German trenches were actually a lot nicer?
Oh yeah.
Than the British ones?
Yeah.
Because the Germans, the way they fought, they actually were prepared for a long fight, whereas Britain and the United States this is going to be over quick, so they didn't put much into the way of comforts in the trenches.
Yeah, that is true. 'Cause I was noticing some of the little details as well, like in terms of the audio, like going through the trenches, you can hear like muddy footsteps. You'll hear whistling from artillery, or you'll hear the plane engines during a dogfight. You'll hear like wind going through the trees and stuff like that. So that also kind of helps with the visual effects of you being there with these soldiers. And then, yeah, one of the details, because there are a lot of like small, minute details that you might kind of miss, but at the same time they're pretty. I mean, I don't say they're important, but it's realistic. Like one of the main characters is in this river, and he gets out, he's drenched, and he goes and he leans up against a tree, and he just slides down from exhaustion, and the whole side of the bark is drenched, is all wet. And to me that seems pretty realistic. I mean, a lot of other films, they might just show him coming out of the river, leaning against the tree and sitting down, and it's nothing. But it's visibly darker and damp on that side. So, I mean, most people will just look over that, they're like, oh, that's normal. But if you look at other films, like that detail, as small as it may be, makes it much more realistic. You're like, oh, he's wet. Like, he was in that river for a while. Like, he is drenched. He's miserable. But things like that, or the different like things that the soldiers would wear, just small little things you notice. You're like, oh, little like keepsake from home. There's different helmets that they were wearing. So yeah, just a lot of the small little things, yet words they used. It's different from a lot of other war films, so that's impressive.
One thing I thought was a little strange, if I'm correct on my history here. At the very beginning, it says it's April 6th, 1917, which I think is the day the United States declared war on Germany. So I assumed that was going to be some sort of topic that came up or something. But I guess not. I could be wrong on that date, too.
Honestly, I don't remember the date it said in the beginning, and I can't recall that. So, yeah, I don't really know. Can't really think of anything that I would say is bad about the film.
Well, I've got some nitpicks.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say that as a whole, how I feel about it is I thought it was a really great movie. Cinematography was amazing. You can't get any better than that. It was It's pretty different. Um, it's something if you're into action or war type films, I highly recommend seeing it, even just once. I promise you're probably gonna like it too. It might. I mean, like I said, it's gonna be a little different from what you're used to. Platoon, Saving Private Ryan, things like that.
No, it's not as good as Platoon. Let's not get all crazy now.
You guys heard it here first. Shadow says it's better than Platoon. So
There aren't many
it's,
films better than Platoon. Okay. So at one point, our two main characters come across the booby trap,
yeah.
and it explodes in their faces,
Hmm.
and there is no hearing loss
Oh.
at all. Just 10 minutes later, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like, this thing went off in their face, and they're not even... They got a little dusty. That was
Yeah.
about it.
Well, I mean, they might have had hearing loss. They just didn't say it. But I would agree with Shadow Man in that I feel like if there would be some cues that the viewer would see it, like, oh, maybe he's holding his ear, or maybe he's like listening strangely, or he's asking, what? Because I feel like that would probably affect their hearing pretty well. So okay, I got you on that one.
Okay, here's my other one. The two main characters, while not absolutely impossible, you never see either one of them smoke. And that's just pretty damn far-fetched for that time.
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
army rationed out
1900s.
cigarettes
Yeah.
in those days. Like,
Yeah, it's true. I mean, 1900s.
if they had one of them say they're not a smoker, I could have bought that. But both of them never hold a cigarette.
Oh, maybe.
I don't buy it.
Maybe they were progressive Englishmen.
No.
And maybe they knew the effects of smoking before
Yeah.
the doctors did. Or maybe it just wasn't for them. Maybe they put in a dip from time to time. Did they have chewing tobacco back then? I assume so. Or just whole tobacco leaves?
Maybe not the cans, but probably a pouch.
Yeah, a nice pouch. But yeah, I didn't think of that because you did see quite a few other soldiers in there smoking.
Mhm.
So I feel like that does.
At
Make
some
sense.
point, after all that dude has been through,
He needs something.
yeah.
He needs something to calm his mind. That's true.
My last nitpick there is he spent way too much time in the water. April 6th,
Yeah,
that long in the water,
Mhm.
that's hypothermia. That's... I don't think you will survive that.
yeah, that is very true. He did spend a lot of time in there, and then like there was no visible shivering
Yeah.
or anything. Like he didn't try
Like
to
he
go
wasn't
to a
cold.
fire. Yeah, didn't seem like anyone else was really cold there either.
No.
But even if it was like 50, 60,
They were
like,
all pretty heavily dressed, but no one, like, rubs their hands together or, does anything
yeah.
to show that they're cold.
I don't know. Maybe it's just we don't know. We need to pick up an almanac and see that it was like the 70s the whole month of March and April in France.
At the very beginning, I do remember seeing their breath.
Yeah, that was a thing I forgot to mention in that initial scene when they're going through the trenches. Like you have all the colors and sounds, but you can also you hear the muddy footsteps, but then you see their breath too.
Mhm.
So it's more and more like you're with these people.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a whole, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
What is up next? What do you have planned for us for episode 25?
Well, first, Gangs in New York, we were back in the 1800s.
Yes.
Now we're in 1917.
Yeah.
We're going to make it further forward here.
All right.
Take
Progression.
it to the 60s.
Okay.
Planet of the Apes.
Ooh, Planet of the Apes. That sounds like it's gonna be a good one. Yeah, I haven't seen. I've seen bits and pieces of that, but everyone says it's a great film, so I expect perfection. So it better
Okay.
be good. But yeah, if that is it for the evening, then we'll see you next time for episode 25, The Planet of the Apes.
Eskimos out,
Hats off to you.
but it's still on.